Welcome back, Starseeds. Why it makes no sense to focus on the current power structures on the planet. And the reason for this being is that you're trying to create a new way of living. So worrying about control groups that exist in the shadows is merely a waste of time, and it distracts you from creating a new reality. So focusing too much on that negative paradigm will get you nowhere. Because look at it this way, if you see a lot of posts on social media and the internet trying to expose corrupt government or corrupt politicians or some kind of corrupt religious entity or group, it's pointless to focus on that because it's another level of fear. So if you're trying to awaken or rise above that, then wouldn't it make sense to focus your energy on creating a new reality, a new conscious reality, where you fuse the masculine and the feminine aspects of the human spirit? Because right now we live in an overly masculine society, a patriarchal society that for thousands of years has dominated in a masculine type energy, a logic or reasoning. If you're living in that mode, in the masculine energy of this time, which we are now transitioning to a feminine energy, when you live in the previous power structures or the current power structures that are still dominant on this planet today, that are slowly crumbling through conscious awareness, you realize that they're very masculine, of course, and they're very logical. They are only driven on emphasis of what can be seen, measured, or counted, things like that. It's only, science is simply a process of physical examination, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's only one part of the picture. Remember, the masculine and feminine energies, just like the left brain and the right brain. When you have your right brain, it's a feminine principle applied to it. It's more of intuition and feminine aspects, and it's more of creativity, things like that. Whereas the left brain, which is the society that we've been instructed from the education system at a young age, is typically left brain dominant. It tries to focus on that, only numbers, rhetoric, logic, and things that can be counted, measured, or seen. Everything has to be very precise and fit into a mathematical formula, and if it does not, therefore it is invalid. That is the current notion we live in. And you can see this all over the place. It goes through all the way from the grade school all the way through the university graduate level. It's very common accepted notion, but it's a true imbalance. I mean, we live in a world of duality, and if you look at one of my previous videos in polarity, we're very imbalanced, and when masculinity and feminism come together, it creates balance, it creates harmony. The law of gender in the Hermetic Principles, which I have a video we'll attach in the description, is the role of gender. This isn't about if you're a boy or a girl, if you choose to be a boy or choose to be a girl. It has nothing to do with it. It just means certain core principles exist in everything. It exists in all walks of life, all aspects, all life forms, even objects that do not appear alive are indeed governed by this principle. So if there is a divine feminine and a divine masculine energy in every one of us, we might find that on a personal level we gravitate toward one or the other, and of course our bodies are split, in a masculine or a feminine principle. Our gender is a physical representation of this principle, and we require the two of the balance to create a new one. So We're in a society right now that's overrun by masculinity. We have religious leaders that call themselves fathers, and we have male presidents and male set-up structures that are dominated by logic and rationale, or what is perceived to be logic and rationale. This is what's created so much imbalance on our planet. When you go to be overly masculine, you tend to lose connection with source. You tend to lose connection with nature. You tend to lose connection with oneself. And you only look at things from an external perspective. And that is how we got into the paradigm of religious structures. Religious structures are telling us to think outside of ourselves. We are no longer relying on ourselves because we believe that we are not capable, we are not worthy. So we therefore call on an external being, because that makes the most logical sense, because if it perceived in this life we are not given enough to better ourselves or be the right person. That's the greatest illusion. We are not a victim of that. We do not have to be a victim of that system. We can go and create a new system. So this is where the current power structure is so misleading. You know, it's based on this pyramid scheme that there is a one on top and many on the bottom, and a progressive layers or tiers, where it's not like that. When you look at how there is a positive and a negative, the divine masculine, divine feminine, when they come together in a balance, weaving through, you start to see a wave pattern similar to what you would see in DNA, or something you would see in ancient medical symbols, and what is now a symbol today, where you see the two snakes intertwining. Because the ancients knew that fusing the masculine and the feminine energies created the yin and the yang, the positive and the negative, and created a harmonic balance. Because when you live in that state of balance between the two energies, you have become the greatest version you can. When you are walking that fine line of balance, that's when anything becomes possible. Because when you are out of tune or out of balance or dominated on one aspect or the other, like too much masculinity creates a power structure what we see today. It's literally run itself into the ground, because people have now become so disconnected from nature and energetic source that they have closed themselves off, and they go, what am I doing now? Where am I going? What's the point of all this? They've let the masculine energy run rampant out of control. And the feminine energy is the energy of the intuition, the heart space, the energy that unites us, the energy that's collective, the one. It's no longer the individual, it's the caring, it's the loving. That's why when you look at ancient texts, they often refer to, like, the Native Americans in North America knew of the Great Mother, they knew of the divine feminine. They were no longer bound to a limited, narrow perspective. And this is where the current control systems have us. They have grabbed us, and now we are in this laughable state, because we've cornered ourselves. We've allowed these control systems to just etch away our feminine views. I'm not talking about if you're pro-feminist or you're pro-men or whatever. This has nothing to do with that. This is an energy. We have cornered ourselves because of the masculine-driven systems of religion, politics, and secret societies. None of that really matters, because in order to create a new realm, you don't really want to lean too far on either. You want to be in the balance between the two. And we have so heavily leaned on a masculine side of things, it's like the left or right, it's all of the same. It's the two wings of the same bird. It's like left politics or right politics, it's all wings of the same political system, and there's no different. We're fighting each other mindlessly when we shouldn't, because it's all of the same. When we understand that core principle that both the masculine and feminine energies come together to create a perfect balance, when we have those energies control and we have the masculine and the feminine energies balanced in us, we become unstoppable. So it's just really important to not get overly drawn into one energetic principle. Don't get too much into feminine, energy. Do not get too much into masculine energy. Regardless of what gender you are, you want to be balanced. Your physical comes together with the role of the other gender, obviously to keep the balance among us when we procreate children. But we have to look at it from a heart-centered perspective and a logical perspective at the same time. And once we step out of the realm of fear, which is what this overly masculine system has programmed us from a young age through the education system and the media, you realize when you step out of that cast of fear, it was all an illusion. And half of it wasn't even, most of the information out there that was posted on media has, many years ago people were saying, this is not true, but they were a fringe group. And now with social media taking over the internet, it's no longer a fringe truth. It's actually a well-established truth that the media has been controlling the narrative for many, many years. And we have to discern the truth ourselves. No one is going to feed it to us. We're not going to get spoon-fed the truth. You cannot go and rely on some website like Snopes. You cannot do that. You have to critically analyze everything. You have to question everything. Because if the day you stop questioning is the day you stop learning. And the current power structures, they want to limit questioning. They want obedience, because questioning creates freedom. And when you are a free thinker, you're no longer bound by the paradigm of the system of fear in which the masculine system currently promotes. Then you can't be controlled. So it's pointless to worry about, this corrupt government official did so-and-so scandal, or, this bombshell Illuminati, documentary came out of the woodworks of all these horrible things. It doesn't matter, because that's not a world worth living in. And if you're constantly locked in that mindset of fear, exposing it like, oh my God, this is so horrible, you're immediately lowering your vibration. You're immediately falling back down to that level of what you just engaged with. And that's the biggest trick. That's how they're getting all these awake people back down in this grid of fear. This is why it's so important to meditate. I can't stress this enough, that meditation will help you break that cycle of fear, of, look, I found this new information, and everyone's going bananas over it, because they're still not fusing the energies, the masculine and the feminine energies together and rising above through meditation and creating a new realm worth living in, a new version of reality. Set this one aside. Let this old one crumble into, the past, because humanity's rising right now. We're rising into a new layer of consciousness. We're on the upswing right now. The wave is going up, and so are we. Humanity is waking up. This is a worldwide phenomenon now. It's been going on for years, and it's just snowballing. So we have to let it, roll with it. And any control system and paradigm that looks to suppress the human spirit is just ridiculous. It will never work. You have all these people in the shadows, or these corrupt reptiles, or whatever bullshit is out there. It doesn't matter, because while it's good to know about that knowledge and understand that there were a small minority controlling the majority, it's not really relevant in the new coming dawn of humanity, the new reality that humanity is creating. You're not trying to improve upon that old reality. You're stepping out of it. You're climbing into a new layer. You're going into a higher level of consciousness. This new layer of consciousness is totally above the paradigm of fear and control and manipulation. None of that shit will even matter. So it's just best to not even focus on that. Just focus on an individual level. Where can I improve every day? And everybody's going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to fuck up. And I do it. You do it. We're all on the journey together, But the best thing you can do is just keep your mind open. Start meditating, connecting to self. When you start to meditate, even science has shown that even 6 weeks of meditation can drastically improve the health of the brain, and it becomes connected with other parts of the body. It's the same phenomenon that's observed taking psychedelics. It rewires the brain, it reprograms the brain to bridge new connections. So that's why, and you don't need drugs to do that. You can meditate, and it's a difficult road to meditate in that way. It can take time, but starting somewhere, starting now, is the best thing you can do, because it will help sharpen your third eye and all your energy centers in your body. So I know this is a ton of stuff to throw out there all at once, but my underlying message is, don't let fear rule you. Don't worry about, posting all this shit about corruption and government, because it's all irrelevant. We'll rise above that. The truth always prevails. Falseness always comes to light. Darkness will always come to light. It cannot stay hidden forever. And with this time of great awakening, with humanity waking up all over the world, and all the systems that previously worked on humanity are becoming obsolete. And the small minority, the tiny minority of people that wish to keep humanity in a deep sleep, they have no idea how to control the human spirit. They just realized at some point that they could essentially program people through various levels of communication. It's been going on for thousands of years. And then, of course, with the advent of the newspapers, publications, television, and now the internet, they've tried very hardly. This small fringe group has tried very hard to, keep humanity in this small, locked paradigm, this lower frequency, so we don't see self-worth. We don't understand the Hermetic Principles. We're only looking at it from a logical perspective, and it wants to dull creativity and keep us running around like rats in a wheel. So you just have to break all that. The best way to live is start living the life you always wanted. You start taking the steps toward that. If you want to live a more conscious life, you take the actions and steps and gather the knowledge, and you'll find that things fall in your path. When I first started going on my journey, I'm just now getting onto the YouTube scene, so I'm a little late on the arrival, but that's okay. I've seen so many bizarre things that have unfolded in my life, and I've seen very negative things too, but each perspective that you learn, whether positive or negative, it can help you grow. But if you just sit there on repeat, you're just playing out your days and not knowing what you're doing and where you're going, and you just want to go watch TV and get distracted by something, or do something simple, and you wake up, you go to work, you work all day, you're tired, come home, get ready for bed, watch the television, play on the computer, go to bed, repeat 5 days out of the week. By the end of the 5 days, you've got 2 days to collect yourself, and you've went to go search for some distraction. It's a conveyor belt lifestyle. And so if you want to break that, start working on your goals, start working on your dreams, even if it seems impossible. There's no preformed notion of how you should do your dream, because only you know how to do that. You will start to gather the knowledge and bend reality that works for you. There's no roadmap to success on that. There's so many different perspectives out there. It's infinite, it's limitless. So start creating the reality you wish to live in.